All right, Shabbos, good morning. I'm sorry we're getting started a moment late. We are picking up in Meretz Hashem in Os Nun Tes in Tzidkas Hatzaddik. So if you remember again, the Rebbe introduced us. We didn't have shir yesterday because of Rosh Chodesh, but on the day before, the Rebbe introduced us in Os Nun Tes to the idea that although we learned in Os Nun Ches that sin has the incredibly profound effect of making us introspective by identifying our shortcomings, our shortfalls, and our missteps. In other words, when I commit an Aveira, I now explicitly know what it is that I have to work on. That's the power of Chet. But the Rebbe says, in addition to that, Torah has that same quality. When I engage in Torah, Torah makes me a more introspective, thoughtful individual. So I can have all of the power of introspection and the entire essence of introspection, but without having to go through the process, ultimately, of sinning. So we're picking up with that theme. We're picking up on page Kuf Mem Beis in the Be'urei Chasidus, the left-hand column. He says, we actually began to read this on Tuesday, but we'll pick up from here again. Amnam, B'hashpas HaTorah ala usikba, Ish kama madrego shonos. The truth is, Torah itself, when learning Torah, the impact of Torah is felt on a variety of different levels. He says, "Ukadesha or haTorah yofia al ha'osikba v'yo al ha'chazira lemutav." Meaning, the way, even though Torah, it's true, as we pointed out, when you learn, learning makes you more introspective, learning makes you more thoughtful, and therefore, by definition, more open to looking at yourself in a critical and comprehensive fashion. And he says, the Gemara actually alludes to this idea. He says, V'al yedei or za'atorah hu agunei magina min ha'yisurin u'matzli min ha'chet matzila me'yetzahara shlo yachshirenu l'chet. So we'll see, that's actually quite beautiful. Here the Rebbe quotes the Gemara Maseches Sota. And the Gemara Maseches Sota discusses the power of Torah. And it says, Torah migna u'matzla, which literally means Torah. Now migna means protect, matzla means save. So what does it mean that Torah protects? So the Gemara explains, min ha'yisurin. Torah protects from suffering. Umatzli min ha'chet. Torah goes ahead and saves me from sin, saves me from the Yetzer Hara. Now, the way Rav Hatzaddik understands this concept in a bit more of a comprehensive fashion is as follows, which is that, what does it mean that Torah saves me from suffering, or I should say protects me from suffering, and saves me from sin, from my Yetzer Hara? So Rav Hatzaddik understands. So of course, you could just understand that on a basic level. Torah, when I learn, it protects me from suffering. When I learn, it protects me ultimately again from engaging with my Yetzer Hara. But Rav Hatzaddik understands this on a deeper level. He says, what's suffering? What suffering is the Gemara referring to? So if you think about this in life, what's the worst kind of suffering often a person endures? So it's a very broad question, but I would venture to say there are different kinds of suffering in life. There's suffering that's external, there's suffering that's internal. Meaning what? There's suffering that is visited upon me, and then there's suffering that I induce. There's suffering that I bring about myself. And this is my sin b'chol yom. I do things, I engage in behaviors, I say things, I act in certain ways, and as a result, I bring suffering upon me. I do that. There's other things, chas v'shalom, like illness, which again, a person could suffer with their parnasa, which again, I could work very hard, but yeah, for whatever the reason, it's not working out. But there's so much suffering that we visit upon ourselves because of the mistakes we make, because of the decisions we make. What Rav Hatzaddik posits is that when the Gemara says Torah migna, Torah saves me from suffering, what does that mean? Torah makes me a more thoughtful person. When I learn, I am conditioned to think. When I learn, I become introspective. So that suddenly before I act, I'm used to going ahead and thinking about, well, what are the repercussions of this action going to be upon me? If I do this, if I say this, if I act this way, what's going to be the ripple effect of all of these things? That's what it means when it says Torah migna. Torah protects me. It protects me ultimately again from causing my own suffering by engaging in thoughtless life activity. And what does it mean, matzla? It saves me. So again, here the Gemara, Rashi points out the Gemara says, Sota, Minei Sahara. And I will say, here we know, this we know that when I learn, I am strengthened to resist the temptations of life. You know, I will say, it's interesting. The Gemara brings down, we saw this in Brachas. The Gemara brings down that if a person is being overwhelmed from their Yetzer Hara, so the Gemara says, what should you do? Mashcheu lebeis hamedrash. Drag your Yetzer Hara to the beis medrash. Or in other words, that if I find myself struggling with some type of temptation or desire, open a sefer. Open a sefer, right? Open a chumash, open a Gemara, open a sefer. That there's a power in Torah. There's a power in Torah, and that when I engage, I have the ability to combat my Yetzer Hara. Also, if there's one thing that we have to always be fully and acutely aware of is, most of us will never vanquish the Yetzer Hara, right? Most of us have to learn how to live with the Yetzer Hara, which is fine. That's part of what makes us human beings. I guess there are some people of elevated status that maybe could totally overcome the Yetzer Hara, but most of us have to live with it. It's kind of like it's lahavdil. It's like living with an addiction, right? So again, a person doesn't really become cured of their addiction. I go ahead and I live with I'm in recovery. How long have you been in recovery? I've been in recovery for 22 years. Right? So is there ever a point where you are recovered? B'pashtus, no. You ask people in recovery. They understand I'm living with a dynamic. So I'm always going to be, as I've always thought, it's a very incredibly profound metaphor for how to live with the Yetzer Hara. Right? I'm in recovery for a day. Right? I'm in recovery from my Yetzer Hara for a day. I wasn't good the day before, but I'm in recovery for a day, and hopefully, again, I'm going to stay on the wagon for a number of successive days, recognizing that at some point in time, I'll probably fall off, and I'll start again. Thus is the nature of life. But says the Rebbe so profoundly that Torah is matzli. So Torah is migna, it protects me. It protects me from making foolish decisions in life, which induce life suffering and life pain. Because Torah conditions me to be more introspective, and it mamish saves me from the Yetzer Hara as well. There's a power in learning that allows me to stand up to the temptations of life. He goes on, he says, what I want to point out over here is we're going to skip for a moment. Go to page Kuf Mem Gimel in the Be'urei HaChasidus, the left-hand column. And here the Rebbe says something so beautifully profound. He says, Ulekach anu b'nei Ashkenaz in the Be'urei HaChasidus mevarchen bebracha rishona lefnei halimud b'nusach lasok b'divrei Torah. Right? We all just said it this morning. Birchas HaTorah, I say Baruch to Hashem, lasok b'divrei Torah. Now the wording over here is intriguing as well. La'asok means to engage in. To engage in words of Torah. So says the Rebbe, Mosif in matbeah lashon habracha b'divrei, v'lo omrim rak la'asok b'Torah. So we'll say, why is that the formulation of the bracha? Why don't we just say la'asok b'Torah? La'asok b'Torah. Right? Blessed are you, Hashem, Master of the universe, who gives us the opportunity to engage in Torah. What do you mean, or to toil in Torah? What do you mean, lasuk b'divrei Torah? To engage in words of Torah. Obviously, in Torah, when you talk about engagement in Torah, it's learning, it's talking in Torah. Why do you need the word divrei? And also, look what Hatzaddik says. This is so beautiful. He says, "Vatam mishum deman sefin hari mi hu hachashuv uman rakia." Page Kuf Mem Daled. Umi biachalaso lispashet uliskaber. Klamar eza adam. Kolkach chashuv umerumam shiach aliyos batuach ba'asmo sheyasok ba. So the Rebbe says something so beautiful. I will say, when I learn, can I ever really be sure that I'm maximizing the experience? Can I ever really be sure that I'm learning to the best of my potential? Can I ever really be sure that I'm discovering the depths and plumbing the depths of the beauty and holiness of Torah? Can I ever really know that I'm learning the way I'm supposed to be learning? He goes on, he says, when I learn, am I learning the Shema? Am I learning for the right reasons? Right? Am I doing these things for the right reasons? Dargos limud kazu. I'm just going to read a few more lines and we'll translate. The Afshalon Arak Levarich Lasok b'divrei Torah. Mipnei sha'al kol panim gam b'madrega shelo l'shma, hu lo meit milim shein divrei Torah. Listen to this. You see, if the bracha would have been lasok b'Torah, to engage in the Torah, one might have thought that the only thing that's truly meaningful is Torah l'shma. Learning Torah for the right purpose, in the right way. So what does the bracha say? Lasok b'divrei Torah. And I will say, what does divrei Torah mean? I learn words of Torah. I will say, learning words of Torah means that sometimes I learn Torah well. Sometimes I don't learn Torah well. Sometimes I learn the Shema. Sometimes I don't learn the Shema. Sometimes I pay attention. Sometimes I don't pay attention. Sometimes I'm learning Torah to serve Hashem, and sometimes I'm learning it for some type of other covet or something else, ultimately, again, that I think I'm going to get out of it. Right? A whole variety of different things. So the brachas, divrei means I learn words. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm off. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's as it should be, sometimes it's not. And what's the great part? It doesn't matter. Just learn. Just learn. Just learn. Lasok b'divrei Torah. As long as what Chazal were trying to teach us is something so beautiful, that as long as there is engagement in Torah, even if that engagement is imperfect, and even if that engagement is even highly flawed, so that it's not a lasok b'Torah, it's a lasok b'divrei Torah. Words of Torah. Words a little bit here, a little bit there, not perfect, imperfect. Lasok b'divrei Torah, that's okay. The effect of Torah migna umatzla, the effect of Torah ultimately saving me from suffering that I visit upon myself by making bad life decisions, by Torah making me a more thoughtful person, the effect of Torah giving me the strength to deal with my Yetzer Hara in life, that's accomplished even through divrei Torah. Even if it's imperfect, it gives me the strength to do what I need to do in life. And so I will say, we'll stop over here for today, but what really comes out of according to Hatzaddik, I think, is something so incredibly profound. Because the fact that we place an emphasis on learning, okay, that we all know. That we all know. But I think what Hatzaddik is introducing to us is why. What is it that Torah does for us? What is it that Torah... So, of course, as we pointed out, there are two levels. There's utilitarian level. I learn from Torah what to do. What to do. Torah is necessary because how can I be a functional Jew without Torah? How do I know how to fulfill the Ratzon Hashem without Torah? That's part one. But part two, says Rab Tzaddik, I will say, I think this is so profound, and I think we see this play out in our own lives. Torah migna umatzla. Torah makes me a more thoughtful, introspective person. And it's not just the pshat that because the intellectual juices are going, therefore I think more. There's a spiritual component of Torah that opens me up to being a thoughtful, contemplative person. That's what happens. And again, what Rabbi Tzaddik wants to just to string this all together, and we really have to stop. What kind of strings this all together is this idea that normally that level of contemplation or introspection normally only comes in the aftermath of sin. Right? When I commit an Aveira, now I know my weaknesses. I know what I have to work on. I know what I have to do. In the aftermath of sin, I am exceptionally contemplative and introspective. But lest you think that darga, that level of contemplation and introspection only comes from sin, says Rab Tzaddik Baruch Hashem, it comes every time we learn. Torah migna umatzla. It saves me from visiting suffering upon myself, from making terrible life decisions. And it gives me the opportunity to save myself, give me the strength I need to combat my Yetzer Hara. Such is the power of Torah. All right, so we'll stop here. Yeah. We'll pick up Emirat Hashem with a little bit more Nun Tes Emirat Hashem tomorrow. Thank you.